some connection as well and asked questions and looked at the potential that information technology has for your future. So here is the tickets box, and I'm going to ask Dr. Ramage, who I'm going to introduce shortly, to kind of draw 2 tickets, and then we'll give 2 Raspberry Pis, and we still have some more to give after he finishes his talk. And remember that the grand prize is that laptop. I'm hoping one of you will take it home, someone who probably doesn't have one. All right, so the first winner is ticket number 868088. Let me read it again. All right. All right, come right up. One of those. Congratulations. All right, and here is the second ticket, 868188. All right. Yeah. All right, so hold on to those tickets. More prizes to come. It is my distinct privilege to introduce Dr. Michael Ramage to the podium. Dr. Ramage is the director of the Center for Telecommunications System Management at Murray State University. Dr. Ramage leads the center's research activities, establishes new programs, and facilitates recruitment of new students, and maintains relationships with alumni and oversees the planning and execution of special events. The Center for Telecommunications Systems Management conducts research in various areas of technology, as well as serving as a liaison between the academic and private sectors to increase the technology workforce across the state. Currently, Dr. Ramage serves as president of the Technology Council of West Kentucky and a chair of Sprocket, Incorporated here in Paducah. Dr. Ramage earned his doctorate of philosophy in technology management from Indiana State University, as well as a Master of Science in Telecommunications System Management and a Bachelor of Science in Computer Science, both from Murray State University. Before returning to academia, Dr. Ramage held several positions over 8 years within the national technology nonprofit Connected Nation, including, and some of the positions he held there were project manager at Connect Kentucky, executive director at Connected Tennessee, and director of product development for Connected Nation. While at Connected Nation, Dr. Ramage was the recipient of 5 state and federal grants totaling over $14 million. And he received also the first TSM Distinguished Alumni from Murray State in 2009. Join me as we welcome Dr. Ramage to the podium this afternoon.
Thank you. Never like hearing my bio read. But anyway, thank you for sticking it out today. I think it's been a really fun day listening to different speakers about careers. I want to kind of wrap up today over the next little bit, talking about the opportunity, not just around the nation, but also right here in our local. But before we get started, I have a couple questions for you. What is your first memory of using technology, and when did you get your first computer? So Forrest, our first speaker today, talked about when he got his first computer. Think about, when did you get your first computer? Whether your family got it, you got your own computer. When can you remember when you got your first computer? Raise your hand. All right, you're the first one I saw. So what year is that? 2008. All right. Here's your little gift thanks to West Kentucky Telephone. All right, 2008. For me, my first computer was in 1989. That year changed my life. That moment changed my life. Now, if you look in the history books, you're going to see probably the most important event that happened in 1989 was the fall of the Berlin Wall. Not in my world. In my world, this is what 1989 will always be remembered for. So it was my first computer. It was a massive 286, which was the type of processor that it was. Raspberry Pis, I believe Fair said it earlier, is it 32 gig? Is that what I heard that they had on it? 32 gig of RAM. This had 1 meg. We splurged as a family and we got the 40 meg hard drive. We actually wanted something bigger than that, but they didn't make them bigger than that at the time. So we got 2 40 meg hard drives. It was over $2,000. It was remarkable. I mean, this Raspberry Pi is a fraction of that and does a lot more. But this was a big investment. Actually, in 1988, up on the top right, is a picture of what Windows looked like, Windows 2.1. We didn't like it, so it didn't work very well. So we used a program that's bottom left called Norton Commander. So when you booted it up into DOS, which was command line, you could start this Norton Commander, and it was for us a GUI interface for DOS. It doesn't look very GUI, but that was what we thought. Now, you may be thinking, what about games? Well, we had games too. Up in the top left is Fortnite. Well, I mean, not Fortnite. Wolfenstein 3D, which became, but I mean, that was the game. Actually, SimCity came out a few years later. SimCity's in the bottom left. SimCity's still around. Do you know that SimCity started out as an educational tool? It was developed by a college to teach civil engineering concepts to their students. But now it's a game. This bottom right was a picture of the game's called Commander Keen. It's a really dumb game that we played a bunch. It was right before Super Mario Brothers came out, and then it was over. Then it was Super Mario Brothers. But then up here in the top right is a game that was called Trade Wars. And you didn't play Trade Wars by yourself. You had to call a bulletin board, which is what we used before the internet was really public. But you would call the bulletin board, you'd get so many moves each day. You're trading stuff around the galaxy and attacking people and blowing up planets. And those were the games. That was it. Now, what also happened, which by the way, Forrest did his shout out. So shout out to Reedland High School. Anybody go to Reedland High School? Yeah, it doesn't exist anymore. I feel so old. I hate that. I hate that my high school doesn't exist anymore. But anyway, but I got that computer, and there were games, and I played games, but I wanted to figure out how that computer worked. I wanted to figure out, what can I do? How does all those files that were on that blue screen, what were those files and how did they work? I literally didn't sleep for 2 days after we got our first computer. And I wanted to learn how it worked. It was what I was interested in. It was literally what I was interested in, what I wanted to do. I loved it. From that moment on, I knew that I wanted to do something when I got older in computers. I didn't know what. Still don't really know what entirely. But I knew it was in computers because I loved computers. At Reedland, I took both of our classes, kind of like Forrest was talking about. I took both of the computer classes that we had. And then I went on to Murray State. And at the time, the only computer program that you could really take was programming. So it was computer science. So I majored in computer science. And I enjoyed it. But what I also found out, our second semester, so in the spring of 1996, I had to take a class that was data communications and networking. I wasn't supposed to be allowed to take it because it was a 500 level class and I was a freshman, but somehow, I don't know, I got in it. And one of the projects we had to do was do a project and presentation, something relating to communication, data communications. Pick whatever you want and report back to the class on it. So I chose to do, how does NASA communicate with the space shuttles? It was super cool. I don't remember a lot of what I found, but it was super cool. And the coolest part was, so I'm doing this research in spring of 1996. Google doesn't exist yet. A lot of those websites that you would use to do research don't exist yet. So I'm trying to find information from NASA, about NASA, from every source that I can possibly find. And I found some FTP sites, servers that just had a bunch of files on it that I could publicly get to. I didn't go anywhere I shouldn't have gone. Well, I didn't go anywhere where I couldn't legally go. And I found a lot of information out. And also back then, the way Murray State students had email addresses were ridiculous. For those that were a student at Murray State in the late 90s or mid 90s, do you remember your email address? Mine was a bunch of random characters and random numbers at musik.murraystate.edu, something strange, .us in there somewhere. I didn't know my email address because it was so random. Yet I got an email from NASA while I was doing this research that said, "We know what you're doing, be careful." I had no idea what I was doing. Actually, I didn't go anywhere that I didn't break anything or break into anything, but they knew that I was doing it. And that I thought was really cool. And it got me interested in the networking side and the security side of things just because of that email. So anyway, so it's a little bit of my background. Ferris read my novel, so I won't talk about it. But when I graduated from Reedland, I had to make a decision. What did I want to do? What did I want to do? Where did I want to go? What was next? And how many of you are seniors? So this is the year for you all to make that decision, right? Where do you want to go? What do you want to do? What is next? Juniors, sophomores, freshmen, that's going to be coming up pretty soon for you all as well. I knew that for me, my passion was computers. I knew I wanted to do something with computers. And so that decision for me was pretty easy. But it's not that way for a lot of people. So let me suggest that you think about 4 questions as you're thinking about what you want to do next. And, I guess in theory, I should stand up here and say everybody should come to Murray State because, I'm from Murray State, so everybody's supposed to come to Murray State, and you should. But the reality is there's a lot of opportunities, and Murray State is one option, and I would argue a great option, but it's not the only option for a number of reasons. First of all, not everybody needs a 4-year degree. Not everybody wants a 4-year degree. So first of all, there's that piece. Second of all, maybe financially you can't go off to a 4-year school. Whether it's Murray State, UK, Western, MIT, you can't afford it. Well, what I would tell you, as Ferris read, I'm the president of the Technology Council of West Kentucky. And what I know for sure to be true in this region is that we need more people with high school degrees that go on and get an industry certification. We need people that go on and do a 2-year degree, and we need people that go on and do a 4-year degree. We need all of the above in the IT sector of Western Kentucky right now. So maybe you're thinking, I don't want to do a 4-year degree. Maybe you're thinking, I don't want to do a certification. I want to do a 2-year degree, or I want to do it. Whatever it is, we need you in this region. Not only do we need you, but we need you to stay in this region. So don't let Forrest convince you that Huntsville's the place to be, because it's not. Western Kentucky is. We need you all. And I say that, and I'll share some examples in a minute, but we have a real need in this area, and we hope that you consider staying in this area. But as you think about what it is that you want to do, you've heard about cybersecurity today, you've heard about programming today, you've heard about, I'm going to talk about wireless communications, network administration, graphic communication, graphic arts I heard somebody talk about. I don't care what area that you pick, because it has to be what makes sense for you. I can tell you all to come and do TSM, and half of you are going to realize, well, this is not what I'm passionate about. What I figured out when I was working on my computer science degree is that while I was pretty good at programming, I liked networking more than I did programming. I liked cybersecurity more than I did programming. But I also have networking students that realize they like programming more. Whatever your interest is, what is it that you're passionate about? What is it that you're passionate about? Think about what you are passionate about. So maybe you're thinking, well, I don't know what I'm passionate about. I think I do, but, well, not really. I mean, I like soccer. That's not it. There's so many people that think they're going to play professional sports. Well, not really. What do you enjoy doing in your spare time? Once I got that computer, I knew what I liked doing in my spare time, and I couldn't do it enough. I enjoyed it. It was my passion. It was what I enjoy doing, and frankly, I was good at it. So if you can find that passion and that thing that you like to do in your spare time, and that you're good at it, that's even better. Now, there's plenty of people that have a hobby that they may be good at and they may be phenomenal at, but the last question is also important. Does it pay well? Now, I accept the fact that your career, the next 50 years of your life, should not be based on, does it pay well? Excuse me. But you do have to think about it. I mean, you are going to have to survive and live, and I will speak on behalf of your parents, preferably not at their house. So does it pay well? My wife gets so mad at me. She's a kindergarten teacher. She teaches in Marshall County, and she's been teaching for over 10 years, and graduates from our program will start out making more than she makes now. I mean, it's the reality of the world. Forrest alluded to it, and while he can't say it, when he said that number begins with a 2, it's also probably 6 figures. So it's not 20-something thousand. The person he's talking about making 200 and something thousand a year.
I want to make sure I didn't bias that. So I want to make sure that I know people that make all ranges of that pay, and I've worked with them, and I tried to make sure I said that, when I got out of school, I was making in the 40s, and there's nothing wrong with that. And then I did a great job, and my career went well. You can't expect to make $1 bazillion right out of school, even though sometimes there's unique cases. But you also do need to figure out, one thing Michael might talk about is where you live, because I got a buddy that quit his job with the government, and he was making 6 figures. He was making like $102,000 a year, and he got an offer for $350,000 a year to go work for Intel. Okay, but where he lived with me in Alabama, his house cost $103,000. Okay, which is more than houses cost here. I was shocked when I moved to Alabama. I'm like, holy crap, houses cost a lot here, y'all, because I was used to like $50,000 for a house down in Milburn, Kentucky. But when he moved to work for Intel, that was in San Francisco, and the housing market there, you had to pay like $1.3 million for a house. So like, do realize like some of these numbers you hear like have a lot to do with where you're living. And so like $300,000 in San Francisco is the same as making about $70,000 where I live now. So you realize that. I mean, big numbers sound cool, but it's not like you've got a bathtub full of cash,
Well, and to his point, actually, I know companies here locally that have hired students with a 2-year degree, so with a degree like here at West Kentucky, and they make in the 40s. So, I mean, there's some good paying jobs in this area. So actually, it's pretty good. But the question is, so what is it that you're passionate about? What is that area that you're interested in that you want to pursue? And I listed these areas because all of these areas are available at Murray State. And all of these areas are available in a 2+2 manner as well. So you can start out here at the community college and go on to Murray State. Now, I focus on the TSM area, and under TSM is wireless communications, network and system administration, and cybersecurity. Those are kind of our 3-degree areas that we have in TSM. But there are other areas depending on what you're passionate about. So I would encourage you to figure out what it is that you're passionate about. Know that if it's in technology, no matter the area right now, you're going to get paid pretty well. So let me give a couple of stories. First of all, we've talked about cybersecurity a lot, so I'm not going to touch on it a whole lot more, except to say this is Brett standing in front of the helicopter. Brett actually is a graduate of the program here at the community college. He is currently one of my students at Murray State, but he graduated. He is a person that did this 2+2 program that I'm talking about. 2+2 meaning you finish your associates of applied science here and then transfer on to Murray State. But Brett actually, you heard from the FBI this morning, Brett actually is currently employed by the FBI. He was an intern this summer with the FBI, and he is continuing to do stuff with them so that he can keep his clearance, so that when he finishes his degree, he will go work for the FBI, likely in Kentucky, either in Louisville or Hopkinsville is his likely destinations. So we actually have somebody working for them right now. But I won't touch on cybersecurity anymore. Another area that, only because you've heard a lot about it today, another area that we have is network and system administration. And I can't have enough network and system administration graduates right now. In this area, actually, we're talking about it at lunch, that we need more and more of those. We need more cybersecurity. We need more network administrators in this region. Sara Kennedy is one of our graduates. She went to Nashville, was working for Healthcare Corporation of America, HCA, which is the largest hospital company in the country, maybe in the world, I know in the country. But she was a network administrator. But by being a network administrator, you learn the network really well. You learn what the vulnerabilities are, you learn how to manage it, and it really makes for a natural progression into cybersecurity. So she actually transferred over, and is a security vulnerability engineer 2 for HCA right now. And let me give you an example of this growing need in our region. A week and a half ago, John Voss and I got an email from a lady who does workforce, and they were talking about a workforce need. And the email I thought was nuts, actually. I mean, I don't think John believed it either. But so I picked up the phone, I called the lady, and I said, tell me what you're talking about. There's a company in Calvert City that is a chemical company, a traditional chemical company, that turned down a furnace. So there's a furnace that's no longer in operation. And they took that building that has a dirt floor, and instead of it burning chemicals, they took 2x4s and plywood and actually built a 1,000 server crypto mining farm in Calvert. And now they need workers. Actually, they want to build a cleaner data center first, but now they need workers. Now the value is, does anybody know why that would happen in Calvert City? Do you know what is unique about our region? Why that makes sense in our region? No, that's part of it. Cheap power. That's it. Cheap power. All right. So half of Calvert City is in TVA's footprint. TVA has really good power rates for manufacturing facilities, so that's why that makes sense there. But they need workers. They need 40 workers in the next year or so to help manage this data center that they're going to build because of mining for Bitcoin. Another one's wireless communications. Wes Kerr is one of our graduates. He's also on our National Advisory Board. He's from Henderson, Kentucky, lives in Bowling Green now. but he works with communities to build wireless networks. Wireless is growing rapidly as well. Our area is actually a little lagging in that growth, but it has finally started to pick up. Part of that is because of the Internet of Things. Have you ever heard of the Internet of Things? All right, my last question for a moment. I want you to take a minute. I want everyone to add up how many network devices do you have in your house? So I'm thinking phones, watches, computers, tablets, TVs, Bluetooth, or Blu-ray players, gaming devices, microwaves, thermostats, garage door openers. Hang on, put your arms down for just a minute. I want you all to think about it first, because then I got to filter you down to figure out who has the most. What else? What other electron or wireless devices do you have? Treadmills, Rokus, Apple TVs? Who's got more than 10? Who's got more than 15? More than 20? More than 25? More than 30? Good grief. More than 35? I'm going to make you list them. All right, how many? 47? Anybody beat 47? $60 plus. Well, after I get done, come up and I'll give you something for 60 plus. Oh, wait. Oh. Yeah. I'll tell you what. I got to keep going, but both of you all come up when we get done, and I'll make sure you both get something. Although I'm skeptical of the guy in the back. But let me say, our students are doing some really cool stuff with wireless. And I'll tell you a couple of things that they're doing. This is a picture of two of our students with our now former president at posters at the Capitol, where they were highlighting some of the work they were doing with cricket satellite and the security of the Internet of Things. They were highlighting some of their work. And actually, Tyler, I talked about Brett that did a cool internship. Tyler actually did an internship this summer at NASA and will actually likely continue working with NASA on securing communication between their satellites and terrestrial sources. So doing some really cool stuff. But what I want to finish with is talking about our 2+2 program that we have with the community college. One of the things that we decided to do at Murray State when we started the TSM program was to make sure that we worked well with our community college partners. And what I mean by that, first of all, if you could get here today, you all don't realize how lucky you are. Because I work with a lot of community colleges around the state, and it's not just the awards that I say this because, or the reason I say this, but working with the other community colleges, this community college is the best one that I work with. It is the best one with resources, with staff, with courses, with curriculum, with facilities. All of that, West Kentucky Community Technical College is a great resource for our region. It truly is. And if you could drive here today, I would encourage you to take advantage of it. Now, one of the things that we wanted to do when we started the TSM program, like I said, was work well with the community college and our partners. And part of that was for those students that wanted to go to the community college first, that you could articulate into our program without losing any credit. I, for one, hate it when I see that I got an associate's and then I have to come and I have to retake, or they don't transfer, or they don't match up, or whatever. So we don't want that to be the case. So we set up an articulation agreement, and this brochure, actually this is the inside of a brochure that we have at our table out front. So if you want to get a copy of this, you can have it. But the whole point of this is that over on your far left are the courses that you would take here at the community college to get an Associates of Applied Science. Now, let me say, the community college curriculum's always updating. The university's curriculum's always updating. So no matter what it is, this will still make sense. So I want you to focus on the pains more than the courses on this. So on the far left are all the courses that you have to take at the community college. On the far right are all the courses that you have to take at Murray State. They're upper level courses that aren't offered at the community college. And then in the middle are the courses that can be taken at Murray State or at the community college. So it's truly a transfer agreement so that we can make sure that you get the degree that you want. One of the unique things about our program and the unique things about this arrangement is that you don't actually have to come to Murray State. You don't have to step foot on our campus to complete a degree in TSM. Now, I'm going to argue why you should in a second, but we actually had a student who went to Jefferson Community Technical College. She was the network administrator at the University of Louisville Law School. The first time she came to Murray State was to walk across the stage and receive her diploma, the very first time. All of the courses that we offer are online. So everything that you have to take from Murray State is offered online. And there's a simple reason that we do this, really. First of all, we want to be able to support the community colleges. And when I say support the community colleges, I don't just mean this community college. I also mean Ashland Community College, or Somerset, or wherever you might be. And it's going to be a lot easier for them to get access to this education, the education opportunities, if it's online. So that's the first piece. Second of all, most of our students, most of our online students that transfer, that choose to transfer and do it online, that don't come to Murray State, it's because they're working. So, if you finish your 2-year degree here and get a job, then we want to make sure that we can support you, provide you the education that you want to continue developing your career, but we also don't want you to have to quit your job to do that. So that's really the two reasons that why we do this, and it actually works pretty well. However, there's something that you gain as a person by living on campus at a college. I don't mean the parties, although there may be one or two of those. But believe it or not, there are people that aren't like you that live in this world. There are people that aren't from your hometown that live in this world. If you go to the community college, if you're driving here each day, you're from Paducah, you come to Paducah to school, and then you do the rest of it online, you're never going to meet people that are different than you, that are from other areas. The community college has some diversity. I don't mean that there's not. But you experience other cultures, you get to meet new people, you get to experience new things. And I encourage every person that if you're interested in a 4-year school, that you go to and live on campus. Does that make sense? Now, when I say live on campus, let me also clarify. I lived in the dorm for 1 year. I'm not saying that you have to live in the dorm for your whole time. But being part of that campus community, just very simple. I think it was Forrest that talked about relationships. Your faculty, whether it's your faculty here or faculty at Murray State, are going to be the ones writing your letters of recommendation. And if they don't know you except as an online student, it's going to be really hard for them to say a lot of positive things about you. So if you need that help getting a job, you need to get to know them. That's an important piece. FBI called me when they were doing his clearance. What can you tell me about him? And like, do you have time? No. But you've got to have those relationships. Same way with your fellow students. A lot of study groups and a lot of student activities are in the evening. If you're a commuter or if you're doing it online, then you're not going to have any of that interaction. So I think it is important. And let me finish with some things to consider. I would encourage you, whatever school, wherever you're thinking about going, plan a campus tour. I would strongly encourage you to come take a tour of our campus, of the campus here, meet the faculty, sit down with the faculty, talk about what you want to do, what your career plan is. Every person in here has a different career plan. Maybe you want to do the same major, but I can guarantee that the same major, life goals, plans, where you want to live, what you want to do, all those things are going to be a little different. So you are unique. Your career strategy is unique. And sit down with the faculty member, get a tour of the facilities, and talk about what it is that you want to do to make sure that you can get the most out of your education, wherever that might be. Apply for admission. Apply for admission. It should go without saying, you've got to be admitted if you're going to go to the school. But the last one is the most important. Apply for scholarships. Many of you have heard me say this already, and I'm going to say it until I'm blue in the face. Apply for scholarships. I promise you, I have never awarded a scholarship to somebody that didn't apply. Actually, legally, I can't give you a scholarship unless you apply. I can't. So if you don't apply, you're not going to get anything. What's the worst thing that can happen to you if you apply for a scholarship? You get told no. And actually, you don't even get told no. You just don't hear anything. I mean, that's the worst thing that can happen. I honestly did not give out scholarships last year, all of my scholarships last year, because I didn't have enough people to apply. We had students. It wasn't that our enrollment was bad. People just didn't apply. I was talking to somebody earlier about transfer students. Transfer students as well. There are not as many scholarships for transfer students, I'll admit that. However, we have a transfer scholarship in TSM, specifically for students transferring into the TSM program from the community colleges. Apply. There's money available. The worst thing that can happen is that you can say no. But I can tell you in TSM in particular, there's money that we had left that we didn't get to give out, hopefully we can give out next year, because students didn't apply for scholarships. They just didn't think about it. Yeah, maybe your grades aren't as good as the valedictorian in your school, so be it. They still may meet the requirements that we have to award scholarships. So apply for scholarships. The worst thing that you can get is a no. And I'm telling you this for TSM, but perhaps you want to do a different major. Perhaps you're interested in math. Same thing applies for math. Perhaps you're interested at Western and not Murray State. The same thing applies for Western. Wherever it is that you're wanting to go to school, if you don't apply, you can't get scholarships. That's it. Does that make sense? So what are y'all going to do? All right. Well, let me stop there. I have 2 minutes, actually 1 minute and 45 seconds before I run out of time. Are there questions? You're thinking, nope, if you be quiet, I get to go home. Although you got to go back to school. Oh, good question. How do you apply? How do you apply for scholarships? murraystate.edu/scholarships is the website for our scholarship process. So two things to that. First of all, the information should be there on how to do that. Excuse me. It's somewhat straightforward there, but outside, if you walk out that door, we have a table with some information about TSM. If you're interested in the wireless communication, cybersecurity, network administration, there's program sheets about those there. Feel free to pick up one or all of them if you want. They're there for you to take. Second is my business card with my contact information. It's up there as well, but I have a card out there. If you go to murraystate.edu/scholarships and have a question, have a problem, or even if you don't and you have a question or have a problem, send me a note, give me an email, give me a call, and I would be happy to help. Honestly, I want everybody to come to Murray State, but even more than that, we need you in this region if we're going to grow and become the technology sector and the great region that I think we can be. We need you in this region. So if there's a question I can answer, anything I can say or do to help you with your career pathway, let me know, and I'm happy to do it. Thank you all very much. Safe travels back to your schools. Oh.